Limbo is hell. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it, and I want to talk to you about a novella that I just read called Gray from an author named Ian Rogers. Ever hear of him? Well, I got the sneaky suspicion, if there is any justice in the world, that you will hear of him. If not from me, from the masses. Because I've read, this is the second thing now that I've read from Ian Rogers, a guy that just a few months ago, I honestly didn't even know was a guy. Didn't even know this person existed. But Earthling Publications, one of my favorite limited edition publishers, walking God's green earth, owned by Paul Miller, great fellow, by the way, they announced that their 2024 Halloween series book, number 19, was going to be this book right here, Family, by Ian Rogers. And again, I didn't know the guy, never heard of him before. So I mashed them buttons, did some searching, and listened to a podcast where he was being interviewed with some fellows who seemed like a pretty cool guy. Seemed like he had some interesting stories to tell. Anyway, I was fortunate enough to be able to get an ARC, an advanced review copy of Family, which I ordered the signed limited edition already, Earthling Publications. I was lucky enough to get the ARC and read it, and it was fabulous. And I did a book review on it on the channel. You can go back and rewind, go back and watch this review. And I really did like this book. It's in the vein of a haunted house story. I really liked the characters in there. I liked the writing. I liked the way I didn't know how the story was going to go. I liked so much about the book. Anyway, watch that review. Tell you all about it. Anyway, I talked on the Facebook Messenger. Ian Rogers sent me a message, and he said, hey, I got this thing coming out from PS Publishing. If you're interested, by the way, you know, if I had something to sell, I probably would ask people if they wanted to buy it. Anyway, so I went on PS Publishing, and I ordered this book, paid the freight. PS Publishing delivered. It is a novella, 149 pages. And I had some stuff to read before I read it. I kind of read things in order. Go figure. Anyway, I had some stuff to read before I read Gray. And I finished Gray. And I want to tell you what I thought. Before I get to what I thought about Gray, this is a signed limited edition book. I've shown you the book also from PS Publishing. Mine is number 13 out of only 100 copies that are limited. Now, PS is selling unsigned, unnumbered versions of this novella. It is 149 pages. It is a novella, but it's not jammed in there with tiny print and all that kind of stuff. It's a relatively quick, easy read. And my opinions on the book, first off, I'll say, when I finished reading this book, all I could think of was I want more. Not that the story didn't have a good ending, but I want more from Gray. This is a character that I think needs to go on and on and on, have many further adventures, and there's many opportunities for it. So I really enjoyed the book. It was easy reading. Ian Rogers is easy to read. Easy as Sunday morning, only the stories aren't quite Sunday morning. Although this is a religious book, it would be, I guess you would call it more religious satire, perhaps. And there were so many things in here that reminded me of things that I actually love. From the quotes, it's a quotable story. We've got a character, Gray, who is, angels would be called celestials. Gray is also a celestial, but he's not an angel. He's something else. He's in between gray, you know, black and white, and gray's in the middle. He's kind of in the middle. He's not human. He's not an angel. Something else. He's gray. And he's not good enough to be in heaven in terms of following the rules, doing as he's told, playing nice, liking everything God has to say and stuff, and he speaks his mind. So the way Gray Talks reminded me of a lot of characters that I truly do dig. And some of the first ones that come to mind, in all honesty, is John McClane from Die Hard. Seems to not be afraid of people that he should be afraid of, or God, or angels that he should be afraid of. He says what he thinks, and to heck with the consequences. Other characters and books that I've read like that. I love a series called the John Corey series by Nelson DeMille, who's recently deceased. One of my favorite authors. Love Nelson DeMille, but John Corey is the character that he created that I loved. And John Corey's kind of the same thing. When he knows he's facing doom, he's still going to have something smart-ass to say. And it's going to be somewhat witty and entertaining. And Gray has some of those characteristics as well. But Gray is an anti-hero. For those of you who dig the anti-heroes, they've been very popular at times and unpopular at times. But he's kind of like that. So you think about the anti-heroes. Well, just think of Neo in The Matrix, where you give him my phone call and whatever. He's smarting off the people and things like that and not playing good. But at the end of the day, he's not a villain either. So Gray, wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of those popular wrestlers in history, was not a good guy, but he was a fan favorite. And Gray is one of those. Not a good guy, but I think he's a fan favorite. You cheer for him. You like him. And so it's compared to stories like that, characters like that. And in essence, it's religious, but it kind of isn't a Christian story, you know. Gray is in limbo, and Gray describes limbo as being locked in a room with nothing to see and nothing to do except to watch Michael Bay movies. That's it. It's your only option. It is limbo, and he kind of implies that hell might be better. At least there's something to do there that's besides watching Michael Bay movies. However, an angel shows up. An angel that he calls, there's just an example. This angel shows up. He says, hey, Megatron, you know, the Transformer. The angel's name is Metatron. I dig it. I'm reading it, Megatron. Oh, then I saw Metatron, but he's calling him Megatron because he's a smartass. I like it. And Metatron essentially tells him that things are going bad on Earth. The last soul that's in the guff, whatever the guff is, where they store souls to be put into babies, to be born and have more people on Earth. The last soul, there's only one left in the guff, and somebody stole it. Somebody has already stolen the last soul. It is apocalypse. It's the end of time. God is asking for help, but she don't ask for help. She sends Metatron, the voice of God, to do her bidding. So Metatron goes, and guess what Gray says? I don't want to do that. But knowing that this is the end of everything, Gray's, okay, I guess I'm doing it. So I guess I know what I'm doing. And that's another characteristic of your anti-hero. The anti-hero isn't just going to go always do things to do good. Think Snake Plissken and Escape from New York. He's not going to go rescue the president till he finds out he has no choice. It's either the president or him. So he goes begrudgingly to save the president. Gray is another character, kind of like Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. I'm telling you some characters that I really dig, and I really dig Gray. I can't get enough. There's got to be more. Got to be more. I'll take a bunch of them. How's that? Books, novellas. I'll take a bunch of more. I love noir. I love detective. And this is a satirical, religious, fantasy, noir detective story is what this is. And there are authors out there like Robert B. Parker who spent almost their entire life writing about a character in stories like that. Like this, Jim Butcher with the Harry Dresden Files. On and on and on. He says he's going to do 25 of those. This is every bit as good. Maybe better. I don't know. I love Harry Dresden, but I also love Gray. and I love the possibilities. So he's doing God's bidding, even though she's not going to go tell him to do it. She don't like him. She don't like a lot of people. He pissed her off. He didn't follow her rules. He didn't do things the way she wanted him to. So what did she do? She sent him into limbo. Anyway, he's got to go to Earth. I guess to Earth. That's where he starts off. He's got to go to Earth to try to get this last soul. I think it was called Anima. And I'm going to look it up because I forgot what they called it. It's Ultima. Now, I'm not going to look it up. I remember, I think. Ultima Anima. If I'm wrong, sorry. He's got to go find Ultima Anima, the last soul, the last existing soul. He then finds out that there hasn't been a person born on Earth in 20 years. It's just all going to heck. Guess what happens? No people are being born. And then Lucifer is a character. And the 7 deadly sins are his children. So there's that. And along the way, people are trying to stop him. And then we get into the action stuff. Gray, it turns out, is a badass. So Gray he has no body. So how does he get a body? He's not a demon. He can't go possess the living. So what does he do? He appears in a corpse, which has some funny twists as well. How does he get out of the ground? It ain't like The Walking Dead. Anyway, some cool stuff you'll get to read. What happens if a corpse runs into somebody that knew him when he was alive 30-something years ago? Anyway, that stuff. A lot of interesting stuff going on here. Chuck Norris. I'm talking about things it reminds me of. There's a scene where an adversary comes at Gray with a bottle. Have you ever watched a Chuck Norris movie and seen what happens when somebody goes after Chuck Norris swinging a bottle as a weapon? He did it over and over in many, many movies. Gray has watched some Chuck Norris films, I think. How about this? You got this guy who's a celestial. He's not an angel. He's not a human. He's talked to God. He's been with God. He's been in heaven. He's been in limbo. He has a .38 special revolver. And can you imagine reading about this guy putting the revolver in somebody's face and unloading it and then doing it again? How about probably the most dangerous being in this entire book is a water jug full of water. There's that. Almost gets the best of good old Gray. Anyway, great book. All kind of cool, fun stuff. It is fabulous. This novella may be one of the best things I've read this year. It's hard to say because I'm not racking my brain. What did I read this year? Am I fixing to say something stupid? Which wouldn't be the first time, but it may be. This is daggum, what is it? What is today? September 30th. This may be the best thing I've read this year. I don't know. I've read some pretty good stuff. Sarafina by Philip Fracassi, one of my favorite authors who ever lived. I read that. I read Family. But as much as I don't want to say it, I think this is my favorite Ian Rogers thing I've read so far. And one of the best things I've read in a while. I loved it. I love the character. I love detective stories. And this is a cool take on that detective genre. So Gray, I left a lot out. It's an easy read and it's a lot of fun for me. And I really like the way it ended. Now, the ending might be tough for some people. I won't tell you about the ending. It might be tough. And I can see that. But I think it ended well. He's an anti-hero, remember. Anyway, I won't tell you anything else about it. But Gray is a 5 stars, easy. I don't even think about it. 5 stars, blam. Better than a lot of other things that I rated 5 stars, so why not? This is not a 7-star system. It's not the Dave Meltzer system where there's 7.5 stars or anything like that. 5 stars is it. So there's going to be some 5-star books that are better than other 5-star books is the only way it's going to work. Anyway, I loved Gray. I sent Ian a message after I read it. And I told him I'd love to see more from this character. There's so many possibilities. Endless possibilities. And I really feel like they could they could take off. Heck, if Jim Butcher, Harry Dresden has taken off the way he's taken off, Gray is every bit as good. Better. Sorry. My opinion. Please don't hate me. Anyway, that's the only lies I can think of. I got no more lies to tell. So thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. In the comments, I will put a link to whatever's remaining from PS if you're interested, or just mash them buttons, PS Publishing, and look it up. C'est la vie. Baby. Doo-doo.